All right, welcome. Another edition of It's Still Real to Me. We're coming at you here on a Monday. I had some technical issues over the weekend. Otherwise, we always come to you on the weekend, but instead we're doing it tonight on a Monday. And of course, every episode that appears on the Zaslow Show 2.0 network, including It's Still Real to Me, is always brought to us by our title sponsor, Anidjar and Levine, Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. And you know, hey, it's Monday, which means, yes, we have Monday Night Raw tonight, but it's also football season. You got Monday Night Football going on, and Bet Online is your number one information source for all your sports wagering info with all the up-to-the-minute stats, news, scores, matchup breakdowns. You get all the latest game odds, the spreads, the totals for all your NFL and college football action at your fingertips with Bet Online's real-time updates on stats, news, and odds all through the college football playoff and the Super Bowl. Bet Online gives you access to the best football promotions and contests available anywhere online. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get on the action at Bet Online. Remember, use the promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, and you receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. And of course, every episode of It's Still Real to Me brought to us in part by Matthew Maschler, Signature Real Estate Finder. If you're looking for your dream home in anywhere of beautiful South Florida, look no further than Matthew H. Maschler, your trusted real estate broker, pro wrestling super fan, one of the founders of BRCW, Boca Raton Championship Wrestling, and also helping you find your dream home at Signature Real Estate Finder. Matthew H. Maschler has over a decade of experience, specialized in luxury homes. He is a certified luxury home marketing specialist. If you're ready to not just get your new home, maybe you want to take your real estate career to the next level, you can join the Signature team. The Signature Real Estate companies are South Florida's industry leaders, ranked number one in Boca Raton, but not just Boca, with offices all throughout Florida, Delray, Coral Springs, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, Orlando, a whole lot more. The Signature team is where you want to be. So you could be looking for your dream home. You want to make sure you get the best price. You want to make sure you got someone reliable showing you around. You want to make sure that it's a smooth and easy process. Matthew H. Maschler, 561-208-3334, or go to realestatefinder.com if you're selling your property or you're just looking to join the best in the business. Matthew H. Maschler, 561-208-3334, realestatefinder.com. Matthew H. Maschler, your pathway to exceptional real estate experiences. Joey Levine is our pal. How are you this late afternoon, Joey? You doing all right?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to get going. A lot of stuff to catch up on. A lot of good stuff last week. Big week. So I'm ready.
Yeah. It sucks. I had technical issues this weekend. I was without internet here for about 36 hours, which is like really rare. Sometimes, your internet goes out. All right, maybe it's down for an hour. I was without it for 36 hours until late Saturday night. We had a big soccer weekend as far as soccer tournament goes here with the Zaslows. So we're coming at you here on a Monday. And so we'll kind of start out early in the week. There was a lot that happened last week, including, let's start with Tuesday Night Wars, man. WWE, they brought in the big guns, Cena, Heyman. You had Rhea there with Dominic, Asuka. And, of course, at the end, you ended up getting Undertaker, just like you said. You had the bell, the gong was ringing in the promos. That was going up against AEW. Predictably, AEW got crushed. 50% more audience for NXT, about 900 some odd thousand to 600 some odd thousand. 50% more audience for NXT, which is not a surprise whatsoever when you're throwing the big names out there that they did on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much anticipated that. I think one of our listeners asked who would win the numbers. I think it was pretty clear WWE was going to win the numbers. But I'll tell you what, I watched both shows at the same time. I switched back and forth. I had them both up. I was watching, trying to see like what's the counter programming, what's going on.
Were you old enough to be doing that for the old Monday Night Wars?
Back then I didn't have two TVs, so I could like flick channels. I could go back and forth, but
that's what I mean. Were you of an age where you were flipping back and forth between the two shows?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I remember, them giving away that Mankind won the title and everybody
Yeah,
switching over, and that kind
yeah.
of was one of those catalyst moments. Yeah, I remember that stuff. But outside of the numbers, at least for me as a wrestling fan, that's the only thing WWE won. I thought NXT was just I thought it was just one big stunt. And
I agree.
I guess should have anticipated that, but there was nothing good about it. Like there was
There was
really
nothing of substance.
LA Knight showing up came out of nowhere, which is a nice little surprise. I mean, to be
But
honest,
again, it was nothing of substance though. Like, why is LA Knight the special guest referee here? Like, who cares? It really was just counter programming with that they were doing. That's all they were doing.
yeah. And my takeaways from NXT before we talk about AEW, because I thought it was a great Dynamite. I mean, look,
I agree.
they're just a product of the fact that they're just not as big as WWE. It is what it is, but it was a great show. My takeaway from NXT was Undertaker looks horrible. They should give him some heads up before they put him in a ring. He looked like he couldn't move, which I know he's old, but it was sad to see. Like, I don't want to see that. The Braun Breaker getting massive rub, on that show, interacting with Cena and Undertaker. And then, my biggest takeaway was John Cena shows up in a car, and we don't know who's showing up in this car. And then Booker T can't control his laughter in the fact that John Cena shows up in a Honda.
And he parks the Honda in the middle of the lot. Like, let's just leave it here. Let's go.
Yeah. Booker T is literally just like John Cena's not supposed to be rolling up in no Honda. It's pretty true.
The Undertaker thing was weird to me because, all right, the reason the Undertaker showed up was because Braun Breaker, also wearing it on his tights, Braun Breaker claims that he's a badass. So,
yeah, I guess now he's badass Braun. I don't know if that's been a thing for a while, but I guess that's his thing now.
But am I supposed to believe then that anytime someone claims they're a badass, the Undertaker shows up now and chokeslams you?
In NXT.
Like so that made Undertaker mad, apparently. If someone else thinks they're a badass, he's gonna show up and he's angry about it.
Well, I guess it's more if he doesn't think you're badass enough yet, because his message was really, I know what you got, kid, but you're not quite there yet.
Yeah, it was essentially it was shotgun programming, is what it was.
Yep.
Let's just get a big number tonight, which, by the way, was the bullshit WCW used to do, and why they ended up losing in the long run. So yeah, the numbers, like, I guess you don't like losing if you're AEW, your number 1 show against WWE's number 3 show. Like, you don't like that, but big picture wise, yeah, WWE did shotgun programming that night, and AEW they did their show, and it was a better show.
Yeah, it was. And, that is what WCW used to do. But for this, it doesn't concern me.
Of course not.
There was a tweet, early in the week on Monday that was basically saying, like, the backstage, rumors are that Triple H and Shawn Michaels are trying to send a message tonight. I don't know what the message that was, because here's the thing. I actually think, like, if you just had a really good episode of NXT, you could promote that Dom's going to be on the show because Dom's a champ, right? And you could promote Braun Breaker versus Carmelo Hayes, and you could promote all your big names. I think head to head with AEW, they probably would have done an equal number. Which,
well, you know what they could have done,
which I think actually would be more embarrassing for AEW if none of those big names showed up, and NXT still does an equal number to Dynamite. That looks worse for AEW. Right now, it's like, oh, we doubled you, but we had all of our Hall of Famers. If you didn't have the Hall of Famers there and you had the same number and you did a decent number against their top show, that makes them look bad.
Well, you know what it could have been? They could have just had Cena. Just advertise Cena, just have Cena, and you would have still beat them in the ratings that night. Like, it didn't have to be this whole hodgepodge of WWE stars who were on the show. You didn't need Undertaker. You didn't need LA Knight. You didn't need Asuka, who still has never lost in an NXT ring. I'm glad they had her win because that'd have been bullshit, or losing that. I like that that's her thing. You didn't need all of that. You could have just had Cena, and you're probably getting a similar number.
Yeah. I will say this. I just remembered this. The one thing that did come out of it that is very interesting for for the future is the video that was released, the backstage video of Paul Heyman talking to The Rock's daughter.
Yes. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Me is very
She's not involved in the schism anymore. Like, that's not a thing anymore, right?
Yeah, the Grizzled Young Veterans actually are done with WWE. They already put out a thing that they're back to being the Grizzled Young Veterans, and Joe Gacy told her that she's got to go do her own thing, that it's done.
Okay. All right. Can I just add here, and we'll get to SmackDown. My favorite thing that has happened over the last couple of weeks. So we noticed over the last couple of weeks that Paul Heyman has had the totally gray hair. He has not dyed his hair, and it was totally gray. And then when the tribal chief returns this past Friday night, Paul Heyman's hair is now back to jet black. He was so stressed out without the tribal chief being around that he lost his hair color. And now that the tribal chief is back, he can relax again, and he's looking fresh. That's good stuff, man.
That's the stuff that makes him the best. That's the stuff that makes him the best ever, is those little details. And like the fact that they mentioned it on WWE. They mentioned it on TV. Yep. Michael Cole like called it out. And it's like, no one else was coming up with that story. Paul Heyman was like, you know what, let's do this. Let's do this.
Yeah, who would have thought of that? No one would have thought of that.
No. I actually never even considered that he was fully gray. I know he's older, but I never even considered it. I just have always been used to his hair color.
So good. What's going on, man? You pay more attention to this stuff than I do. You're really dialed in on the social media when it comes to this kind of stuff. And what the hell is going on with Tony Khan, man? Like Tony Khan on social media, and it's almost like, I don't know. He's having like a manic episode and just really irrational tweets, man. What the hell is the point? What the hell's going on there, man?
I don't know, but it was like a string of a few days where he's just tweeting stuff. It's like the billionaire owner of any company, let alone partial, owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tottenham Football Club, AEW, the second biggest wrestling promotion on the planet. He shouldn't be doing. Do you want me to go through them?
Sure, read a few of them, but like it came off as a guy who's unstable.
Yeah, so it started at the beginning of the week, and this one's, this is just fun back and forth. But like the report came out that Triple H and Shawn Michaels were, trying to send a message, and he quote tweeted it and put, "I have a message for them," promotes Dynamite, but then in the picture, it's just 2 wooden doors with the word "bald asshole" spray painted on them.
Yeah, like why?
I don't know what that was. And then later in the week, like after the show, there were people were tweeting about Vince and taking cheap shots at the competition and this and that. One guy said, the difference is Vince has the power and influence to take cheap shots. He's earned the right to take them. Tony is Vince. If you order them from Temu, whatever that is, you can shop like a billionaire, but you'll get the cheapest thing going. And then Tony Khan responds to a random account with like 100 followers or something and says, yes, Vince has allegedly used his powers and shot a lot of shots. Like,
what's the point in that?
And then he did the tweet about the 2-decade-long ratings thing. So after the ratings came out that they got crushed, he tweets, this week, 2 active decade-long rating streaks from 2 great legends were ended with all due respect. Until this week's head-to-head AEW on TBS versus WWE on USA, neither John Cena nor Undertaker had ever been on a WWE show with under 1 million total viewers.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous point to make.
Yep. And then the last one, which was the craziest one, he tweets out this tweet. This weekend marks the 1 year since Mayo Clinic saved my mom's life. During her ordeal, many AEW talent came to me alleging WWE tampering, inducing them to break their contracts. And it went on, right? And people were going at him like, why are you invoking the AEW, like the tampering stuff, to celebrate your mom being saved by the Mayo Clinic? And he responds with, not that I should be surprised, but the same WWE avatar accounts that spam me every day, no matter what I say or what it's about, now turning their wrath to my mom recovering from a near-death experience, is why I straight hate these people to the bottom of my heart and all my soul.
I don't think anyone is taking away from your mother recovering from whatever operation she had. And this idea that somehow WWE was purposely trying to lure wrestlers at the same time that Tony Khan is dealing with a sick family member is insane. It's
Yeah.
insane rationale, as if as like it's business. It's business versus business. Nobody cares in WWE, or more than likely knows in WWE, that you're at your mother's bedside in the hospital while they're conducting business, whether it's dirty business or not. One has nothing to do with the other.
Yeah, Tony Khan. We've talked about it, I think, on the show. I've questioned him. I've questioned him from the beginning. I just don't really get the guy. This is crazy. But when this company started, the message from the top, which was Tony Khan, but also in the very beginning, if you remember, Tony Khan was an afterthought. Tony Khan was the guy funding the show. And obviously he was, he's booking and he's doing everything and he's the money. But in the very beginning, it was Cody, it was Kenny, it was the Bucks, it was Hangman, and it was Jericho. And then the message was, we're the alternative. And as it's gone on, you see Cody leaves, you see the Elite become a little bit less influential in what's going on in terms of booking and storytelling, and you see Tony Khan slowly becoming a bigger voice in the company than any of those guys. And that
which
is
which I think all of us can understand how that would happen, right?
If your ego is too big, yes.
Well, yeah, and I think you, I think you get a little bit power hungry. You're like, wow, this
Right.
is a really cool playground that I own. So yeah, you know what? I want to do everything my way because it's mine.
Right. But also the idea that you think that by you doing everything your way and being this voice now would somehow make you a legit competition to a company who has dominated the industry for 100 years, and you're so far away from, you're on a good trajectory. The thing is like AEW has a nice roster. They're putting on good shows. Like, focus on yourself. Like, this stuff like going at WWE is only going to hurt them, because all WWE is going to do is they're going to take Jade Cargill, and then they're going to take the next person who's a free, and they're going to take, and they're going to take, and then you're going to be left with Christian and Edge. And I love Christian, but you don't want to just become WCW, a bunch of older guys that are from.
Well, look, right now, AEW's top heel, mainly because MJF is babyface. AEW's top heel right now is what? Almost 50 years old?
Who, Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he is 50, or he's pretty close. Yeah.
Like, that was not supposed to be their MO, when they first started.
Yeah. And outside of MJF, the guys at the top are WWE guys. Well, I guess that's not true, because Jay White is now stepping up in MJF, but that's in a program with MJF. Like, yeah, I think they have leaned on trying to get former WWE guys in a way that I don't know that AEW fans necessarily wanted. I guess some do, some like it, but I think, honestly, I think we're already seeing, I don't know that the Adam Copeland experiment is going to boost them in a way that they expected. I don't know that it
would
really
appear that it's not. It really seems like the only thing that moves the needle for them is MJF.
Right. Well, Punk moved the needle for a while because it was such a crazy thing. But yeah, I don't know that, like, to me, the Adam Copeland Christian thing, I'm watching for Christian. I like Edge. I like Adam Copeland, but I'll tell you what, he got totally outclassed on Collision on Saturday by Ricky Starks. Like,
well, and I think we would.
He lost his cool.
I think we would. We would be
like, it was not good.
Oh yeah, I didn't see. I think we would. I think we would be invested in whatever Christian is doing if Adam Copeland was not there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so Daniel Bryan and Edge started Collision with, they were going back and forth on, I forgot, actually, I already forgot what they were talking about. Ricky Starks came out and interrupted it with his own security, and basically he went at Edge. Supposedly he went off script, and it rattled Edge, and Edge was like, or I think Ricky Starks said something like, "Pay attention when I'm talking to you," or something like that, and he's like, I can't not focus on your silk pants. And Ricky Starks said, apparently they didn't teach you about fashion over at the other place. And Edge is like, well, apparently you stole it from The Rock. And then he just started calling him like a vanilla midget Rock ripoff. And then Edge goes, shut your mouth and talk to him, which I thought was a funny thing to say. And then Ricky Starks goes, wow, that really put me over the edge. And you could tell Edge was very frustrated.
I did see that.
You could just tell he was frustrated. And I was like, yeah, you got to go toe to toe with a guy like Ricky Starks. You can't get rattled by Ricky Starks.
Tell you what, though, man, Christian can be the top heel right now, but I really dig everything that's going on with Jay White and Bullet Club Gold. So I want to talk to you about what took place. It was Dynamite, right? What I'm about to bring up with the coins, that was from Dynamite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. So if you don't remember, because it was 6 days ago at this point, but they're taunting MJF and eventually Juice Robinson, who plays the dick heel role really to perfection. Juice Robinson, he takes out a roll of quarters with the name Friedman on it, and it's a throwback to when MJF said how when he used to get bullied by anti-Semitic kids who used to yell things at him, they would throw quarters at him. Like, hey, Jew boy, this, that. And they, it's an old anti-Semitic trope with the money, and they would throw quarters at him. So it was a throwback to that, which, by the way, did you see apparently MJF this week? He spoke at some anti-defamation league,
it's an anti-Jewish
conference. Hate. Yeah, like how about MJF? It doesn't get much. Well, they played
on Collision. They played a thing with MJF that was like an anti-Jewish hate message.
Well, that's awesome. All right, so he's really leaning into all of it, which top Jew right there. Love to see that. But so, there's a couple people got mad, right? People got mad at.
Can I just add before, because I texted you earlier in the week. I was like, I want to hear your take on this, but I do want to clarify. Yeah. Juice Robinson's gimmick is that he carries around a roll of quarters and he hits people with it. Like that is part of.
Oh, is that
gimmick.
Right? I didn't even know that.
Yes, this is not like a new thing. He didn't only do it because of that. Now it is a callback to it, and I'm sure MJF, but Juice Robinson has done this before.
Okay.
Now I don't know if he's written people's name on it, whatever, but I know he's done the roll of quarter thing. So I just wanted to be clear on that because I think that's part of. MJF's such a star, and Juice Robinson people are still getting to know. So I think that's part of the story that's getting missed.
Okay.
Is that's a little bit part of his gimmick, but please, yes.
It's good to know that. I don't think it particularly matters in this instance with what I'm going to get into now. So people are upset for two reasons. Number one, because you have, wow, that's very anti-Semitic. That's an Jewish anti-Semitic trope with, money and Jews and all of that. So there's that part of it. And then there's the other part of it, which is, you have everything, of course, that's going on in Israel right now. So, okay, do you want to be making anti-Semitic jokes while there's, such a heightened level of Jewish hate going on right now, going back to the beginning of last week? So those are two issues. And you had people who were like, how does this get passed? How does this get approved? Why hasn't Tony Khan said anything about it after the fact, seeing that people are upset and all of that stuff? So here's my thought. And I have felt this way about other angles too in pro wrestling. And this always confuses me. The first thing I will say right off the top is I have no problem with what Juice Robinson did right there. Especially
zero, by the way.
Zero problem. Especially because at the end of it, the Jewish champion is going to give him his comeuppance. All right. Yeah. So I have even if that weren't what the outcome is going to be, I have no problem with it, because here's the thing. And I don't understand why the world of pro wrestling is treated this way, is treated differently than, say, other TV shows. Pro wrestling is a TV show. Period. It is a TV show. There are characters and their stories, and they settle their disputes by fighting in a ring. It's a TV show. If I was watching any random TV show and one of the characters was wildly anti-Semitic, wildly racist, and said racist things, said anti-Semitic things, nobody would bat an eye. You know why? Because it's a TV show, because it's not real. So why when pro wrestling does stuff like this, It could be anti-Semitism, or it could be racism, or it could be fat shaming, or even against homosexuals. Whatever it is. Why is pro wrestling treated differently than other TV shows? The showrunner of a show would not have to come out and make a statement about the wildly racist character on the drama that's on every night, once a week at 9 p.m. on whatever, FX. So why does pro wrestling have to say anything? This is a bad guy. He's a heel. And yeah, he made an anti-Semitic joke because he's a scumbag. Like, why? I don't understand why pro wrestling is treated differently in this regard.
Well, I think, a couple of things. I to respond to all that is like, I do think actually more so nowadays, the showrunner might actually have to. Like, outrage is just, it's like outrage porn. Like, people are looking for things constantly to be outraged about, right? So does it happen, I think, more often with like wrestling fans and when stuff happens in wrestling? Sure, because I think to answer it, at least in my estimation, it's just because people who don't get professional wrestling always are finding a reason to hate on professional wrestling. Like, they're going to always look at a reason, especially, wrestling, AEW, totally separate company. Vince McMahon is considered wrestling. Vince McMahon has all these things. Like, everything gets connected. It's like, it's all conflated into like wrestling's like this bad thing. So I think that's part of it. But specifically about this, I don't think not anyone, some people are going to complain about everything. Most of the complaints that I saw on Twitter, that I saw the outrage on, was how could AEW allow this on the air with what's going on in Israel? Which to me is such an absurd, I don't know what the word I'm looking, conflation, like miscalculation of the situation by people. Like, one has very little to do with the other. Like you said, it's professional wrestling, first of all. But secondly, like, as much as Israel and Gaza is about religion, it's a war going on over territory because of religion. And then you have Juice Robinson maybe calling back to an MJF thing, or maybe just doing his gimmick. Like, there's also that part of it, right? Where maybe that's just what Juice Robinson does. But I think either way, I'm not necessarily convinced that there would have been no outrage had there not been a war going on.
No, there would have been, because people love complaining about stuff. So there would have been outrage.
I know, but there was so much of it that I saw was people saying, well, how could you do this now, especially with what's going on in Israel? And it's like, now doesn't, just because there's a war. And by the way, this is two Jews speaking to each other on the topic who are not outraged about it at all, right?
At all.
That's first of all. Secondly, I don't know about your family. I have like 10 cousins that live in Israel. We're getting updates constantly. The last thing that I thought about when I saw Juice Robinson pull out a roll of quarters was like, oh my God, my cousins in Israel would be so offended. No, I was like, this is a wrestling gimmick. And by the way, everything about it's great. Everything about Bullet Club Gold and MJF's great. I would never have made that leap. To me, it's like, how many of the people who were outraged like that are even Jewish? Because I bet you a lot of the Jewish people who saw it probably were like, okay, I kind of get it. I mean, it's a gimmick. And like you said, MJF's the top guy. He's always been, he's wildly more supportive of Jews in general, outspokenly, than any professional wrestler I could ever remember. And he does a great job of it. And by the way, the vignette that they played on Saturday night was great. If anything, like, to me, again, it goes back to the Tony Khan thing, where it's more like, would Tony Khan have played that vignette under normal circumstances? Or is Tony Khan, I know people are going to not like this comment, is he looking to, because I think Tony Khan does a lot of things to be like, look what we did that those guys didn't do.
They're looking for a little bit of an edge right now.
And I think, like with the Hawaii stuff, not that it's not great that he, raised the money for Hawaii, but a lot of it was promoting, like, look at our show where we're raising money for Hawaii. It wasn't just like, I'm a billionaire and I could give money to Hawaii. It was like, look at me, look at us. Would he have allowed MJF to promote that he had a big thing that he was going to do on Collision if he didn't think it was going to benefit the company? That's the only place where I'm like, I don't really love the Tony Khan part of it, but it was just, the whole outrage part of it was wild to me. It was wild.
Yeah. Like, There's nothing that would upset me about that. And even I just don't understand when people complain about the characters in pro wrestling. Like, man, I remember back going into WrestleMania 34 when you had Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss were going at it. And a lot of that story was making fun of Nia Jax's appearance and how heavy she is. Well, guess fucking what? It's a TV show. And like, girls are mean to other girls in TV shows all the time about their appearance and fat shaming. So why is it something that's frowned upon because pro wrestling is doing it? I don't understand when that happens.
Hey, let me ask this. Where's the, there's another storyline going on in AEW right now involving MJF. Where's the outrage? There's been, for a long time, Max Caster has done this thing on Twitter where he takes pictures and he responds to MJF, like trying to flirt with him, trying to get his attention. Mm-hmm. He like he's in love with him, like he's stalking him almost.
Yeah.
And now it's made its way onto TV where like Max Caster just creepily sneaks into the training room and starts massaging MJF's neck, like against his will. Like MJF clearly doesn't want this. Where's the outrage for that storyline? He's like a stalker. Like, It's like, hey, let's just have we have a guy stalking our champion for whatever reason he's stalking him. And ultimately, I think it'll turn out that like MJF and the Acclaimed are best friends. But as of right now, he's basically just stalking MJF. Where's the outrage for that storyline?
I just think it's so easy sometimes that people want to bust on pro wrestling and, point out where it's being trashy. And it's like, it's a TV show, man.
Yeah. And I think the people that are the loudest about it are the people who don't watch it regularly, which is just like anything. It's just like when like a comedian, a clip comes out and a comedian said something and they get canceled, but you didn't listen to the whole show, right? You didn't get the context of what's actually happening. That's a lot of what I think this was, right? The clip gets posted. And then some person says, I can't believe they allowed this to get on air. They have no idea the backstory of MJF's story. They have they've never listened to his promo where he said that he was proud that he made the football team. And then the next day in school, his teammates were walking by him and they threw quarters at him and said, pick him up, Jew. Like, no one knows that backstory. They also don't know Juice Robinson's backstory. They just see this 30-second thing, and that's all they need to run with the outrage.
And there are ways to do it. Like, I'm not saying that I want Juice Robinson yelling up the runway to MJF and calling him a fucking kike. Like, that's it's not necessary to do that. That would be a weird thing for them to write into the show. But otherwise, I don't see any reason to be outraged about it. He's getting heat. He's being a dick. And ultimately, MJF is going to wind up, standing on top, holding that belt and representing all the Jews anyway. So,
yeah. I mean, and like to your point, if your concern is for Jewish people in this whole story, what you should be focused on is that MJF is not only the champion, but he's now involved in two of, I would say, the three top stories in the company, which is his thing with Bullet Club Gold, his thing with Adam Cole, and then probably the third biggest thing is whatever Christian's doing at the time Christian's doing it, right? But really, it's the MJF show, and then Christian's doing his thing. And that's what you should be proud of. It's like, oh, there was this one moment, but now it's just going to even amplify MJF even more. It's great. I mean, he's killing it, man. He's the best. Roman's back, which we'll talk about, but MJF is the best. He's the best thing going, man. He's really, really, right now, he's up there.
So tonight is the season premiere of Raw, which answers my question from last week. If last week's episode of Raw was the premiere. No, this past Friday was the season premiere of SmackDown. So tonight's the season premiere of Raw. So I would expect tonight to be a great episode of Monday Night Raw. Just like SmackDown on Friday, I thought was really good as well. Among the biggest well, let's start with the beginning of the show. So Roman Reigns returns. John Cena opened the show, right? Am I remembering correctly? That Cena opened the show. And within like 2 minutes, Roman Reigns comes out. And man, was it good to see him again. Because he comes out and it's like, by the way, only the gold belt. Does not have Paul Heyman holding the other belts anymore. So he comes out with the belt. He's wearing it around his waist, which I love. And he looks like $1 million. He looks like such a megastar. He does. It was so good seeing him back out there again. And the whole interaction there with Cena was cool. And it like threw me back to that promo before SummerSlam from a few years ago, where the two of them are in the ring and Cena's just annihilating the big dog, Roman Reigns, just crushing him on the mic. And Roman's not on that level. And now you look where the two of them are at this point, and Roman is just such a massive star. I thought it was a really cool visual. Of course, LA Knight then comes out, who, if you had any doubts as to what they're doing with LA Knight, I mean, he's in the ring there with Cena several weeks in a row, and now he's up. They put him in the main event of SmackDown against Solo Sikoa, and he is very clearly next up for Roman Reigns as far as the feud goes. What else that I noticed that I thought was really cool? It felt to me like right now, the story with Roman Reigns is not about the bloodline. It felt to me that the story with Roman Reigns right now is about who's his next feud. And that to me was like a welcome sight that we could, because I mean, what's the last feud that Roman had? Yes, it was Jay. And then before Jay, do we have to go all the way back to Sammy? Like, what's the last feud that Roman had? You know? So it didn't feel like the story right now is about the bloodline. It felt like it's about Roman and that championship. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. And yeah, I think he's not, well, first of all, he's been gone for how long now? 3 months, something like that. So, or not that, has it been that long? 2 months? I don't know.
Like
It's
2
been a
months.
long time. But really, yeah, this year it's been Cody, Sammy, and Jay. And yes, I thought clearly they're setting up LA Knight. Did you catch LA Knight's Easter egg in his promo? Did you catch that part?
No.
He
What?
So Roman, he talked. First of all, that was the most Stone Cold Steve Austin promo that LA Knight has ever cut. Like to this point, it was the most Austin he sounded. He's like, "You're Roman, right?" And everyone goes, "Yeah." He said, "The tribal chief, the universal champion." Like he did that thing where he did the list and everybody responds.
No, but I liked it at the end where then he said, "Nah."
Yeah. But then Roman responded, and then LA Knight drops the "talking to me like that'll get" is an easy way to get to referred to in the past tense. Do you know what that's from?
No.
That is from John Cena's Thugonomics entrance music.
Really?
Yeah.
What was
He
the lyric?
quoted
What was the
John
line?
Cena's. I don't know the exact line from the song from the promo it's pulled from the song, but it's like it was something like talking to me like that's a quick way to get yourself referred to in the past tense, and that
That's
is a
cool.
line from John Cena's Thugonomics that John Cena rapped or
That's cool. I like
Thugonomics
that.
101 or something like that. But he's good at that stuff. My brother mentioned to me, he's like, yeah, he does that stuff. That remember he called back when he had this stuff with Kevin Nash. He called back to this is where the big boys play, that Kevin Nash thing too. Like LA Knight's great
I
with
like
stuff.
that. I like that.
But yeah, I mean, so do you think, because I was actually having this discussion today, do you think it's LA Knight and Roman at Crown Jewel, or do you think it's maybe Cena and Roman at Crown Jewel and then LA Knight at Survivor Series? Like, because
My
they have two
guess would be
shows that need to
Survivor
come.
Series. My guess would be Survivor Series, if for no other reason because they would want Cena over LA Knight in that spot. Like it seems like those shows overseas want the biggest names possible, you know?
So you think
So
you think Cena Roman at Crown Jewel?
that'd be my guess. Yeah.
That makes sense. Because the other thing that was interesting to me was basically for the most part of that promo battle between LA Knight and Roman, Solo did not take his eyes off Cena. He
Yeah.
stared at Cena the whole time.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Even when they started punching each other, he still kept his eyes on Cena.
Yeah.
He didn't move away from Cena.
So I thought that was an interesting little part of it too. And then there's the whole Jimmy aspect of it, which I love Jimmy's character right now. I think he's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I love the backstage stuff. I love him saying yeet and Roman saying, I don't like that. like just burying the whole Yeet gimmick. But yeah, it'll be fun to see Roman have a feud after so long, because it's going to probably be, like you said, probably Cena and then LA Knight for Survivor Series. And then they'll loop back to Cody, I'm assuming, heading towards WrestleMania.
Well, you had a little bit of a stare down there with Cody coming down the entrance in Roman, so I loved that.
Yep.
I like that they, plant those little seeds, so I dug that. And so we find out, which we knew was going to happen, was Nick Aldis is now the SmackDown general manager, which I think is great. I think it's cool. It'll be a good addition. And I'm wondering, are we getting Adam Pearce's crew versus Nick Aldis's crew for Survivor Series?
So just like an old school Raw versus SmackDown?
Yep, that's my guess. I think that's what we're doing.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, that'll be fun. Nick Aldis on the mic is good. I mean, he's fun. So the more we can get him in there, there's good. I thought his little interaction with Dom was great. Big fan of your father.
Yes, that was a great first line from him to get him over with the crowd. Great line. Yeah. It's smart, man. You want to get Nick Aldis over there, get Dominic in the ring right away. I'm going to show you who I just traded for. And then Dom comes down. I'm a champion. I'm here. And that was a great job by them getting Nick Aldis over there with the crowd by having Dominic there. We find out that Kevin Owens is the guy that they traded for. The best part of it to me is good. That means KO and Sammy can both do singles runs. That's the best part of that.
Yeah, and did you catch the little thing from KO too when he came out?
What?
He looked back. Like he looked back like, oh, Sammy's not coming.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He did like a little because he always comes out first, and then Sammy comes out. So
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. But I think we're getting Pierce's. I think we're getting Pierce's Raw team against Aldis's SmackDown team at Survivor Series.
By the way, interesting little nugget. 4 years ago, at All In, which was the precursor to AEW existing, Cody Rhodes versus Nick Aldis for the NWA title. Now they're on the same show. In WWE.
You got, how many NWA world champions do we have in WWE now? You have Adam Pearce, you have Cody Rhodes, you have Nick Aldis.
Yeah.
Right? Anyone else? I think those are the three.
No, I think that's I don't know all of the NWA champions, but from recent
I think that's
years.
Yeah. I think those are the only ones that are on the roster. You got three former NWA champions. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
in prominent spots too. I like it.
Yeah. SmackDown was great. I thought SmackDown was a lot of fun. I think Raw tonight's gonna be really great too, because it's season premiere. I know you mentioned here's another thing. So real quick here, and we could probably wrap on this. So if we're to believe the reports out there, Endeavor, the parent company of WWE, has essentially sided with Triple H running all of creative, which is a very welcome news if it's true. And I would say, based on this circumstantial evidence in front of us, it would appear to be true, because you look at all the pieces, all the stars who have been used prominently over the last few weeks that were not being used prominently. I think it's a pretty clear-cut sign that there's been a power shift. And if nothing else, I have also noticed something that I think you would be happy about. It seems like Rhea is a lot more involved now as far as actually fighting other women.
Yeah, she went months basically without any real. You could make the case that since she became champion, she has not had a real story. Now she has 3. Now
she's trying to fight everyone now.
Right. Well, she basically, I think it was in a backstage segment either on Monday or recently. I think it was Monday, where she said, I have to now I got to go take care of my division. And then, she interrupted the match with Nia and Raquel. And then she got her face kicked in by Shayna Baszler, which is awesome. That is a match I would like to see. I hope it's not like a fatal 4-way thing. I hope it's Rhea and Shayna Baszler. That's great. That's good shit.
So it really does seem like, though, Triple H is in charge, which is a great sign.
Yeah, and also not just the fact that Rhea is involved, because if she was just involved with Nia and Raquel, that's a little Vincey because they're Vince types. Shayna Baszler ain't really a Vince type. Shayna Baszler is a Triple H product. And the
But
fact that,
Tegan Knox has been on TV a lot
right?
recently. DIY is back together. These are this
Yep. Nick
feels like
Aldis.
it's
Nick Aldis feels like a Triple H move.
yeah, this feels like Triple H has got his hands on everything again. Which and by the way, we got to mention this too. Okay, I wasn't sure when they first put Jade Cargill on Fastlane's pre-show. The way they then presented her, even in just a very short snippet on SmackDown, where she comes up on Charlotte Flair for a quick introduction for Triple H.
That was a good look. That was good.
I'm in on it.
Yeah.
That was cool as hell. And Charlotte's reaction being very dismissive, of course. Jade first, she wants to meet her, and then this is very insulting. I mean, she looks like Black Charlotte Flair. The two of them, getting the two of them in the ring at some point together is going to be amazing. So I love what they did with Jade. They're giving you little snippets of her. They're not giving you anything of substance.
I also love Triple H intentionally making himself shorter between the two of them to make them look like monsters, because he is much bigger than them. He's much bigger than them. And if you look at the TV shot, he's like 3 inches shorter than them.
Yeah.
He was just definitely intentionally making himself shorter to make them look bigger.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. I thought we would be getting to a place at WrestleMania where it's Charlotte versus Bianca, right? But I don't know. Maybe we get Charlotte and Jade Cargill at WrestleMania, But
or sooner.
But I'm now in on. I think Jade Cargill's got to be like a huge favorite to win Royal Rumble, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. You saw she also was at NXT, right? She did the same during Tuesday Night Wars. Oh, she showed up to NXT. I missed that then? She did the same pull up in the car and say hello to Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels just that, and that was all it was.
Okay.
They just did outside the building. Shawn Michaels greeted her, and then that was it.
Well, I am very in on what they're doing with her now. I thought that was cool as hell, introducing her to Charlotte Flair like that. So when the time now comes that she does hit the ring, there's going to be a lot of wait. You'll have waited a long time, and it's going to be a really cool moment as long as they do that right. And I think this is probably the right way to go about this, because you got to make sure your audience knows who she is, because I would imagine most of the audience, at least the in attendance crowd, does not know who Jade Cargill is as of a month ago.
Exactly. Right.
So doing it like this is really good.
And again, this is where, and this also speaks to Triple H booking and not Vince booking. Two people now, Jade and Nick Aldis. I think most WWE fans have no idea who Nick Aldis is. But the way they brought him in, the interaction with Dominic.
Oh, he got no reaction. He got no reaction. And that's why, doing the thing with Dominic, excellent first impression.
Right. And now, even I was watching it live with my brother. He didn't know who Nick Aldis was. He's like, I like this guy. Like he just was like, it was a good presentation. He looks like $1 million. He looks like he could still wrestle. But yeah, Triple H, it's good for the future of that company. I think he's been on fire all year.
You got anything else to add here, man?
Well, before Big Dirt, I do have some Big Dirt. I just got to jump back to Dynamite because 2 title changes that were just completely random to me. Orange Cassidy beats Rey Fenix and is now the international champion again.
Well, and so what's the deal? Was that kayfabe that Moxley's not cleared, or was that always the plan?
It sounds like it was. No, it sounds like he wasn't cleared at the last second. I don't really know, but either way, it's like, why give it back to Orange Cassidy? Why does Orange Cassidy have to have it again?
Because there's no sense in having it with Rey Fenix. That's why.
Okay, but it doesn't. I don't know. But anyways, and then Hikaru Shida beats Saraya for the women's title.
Yeah, I don't understand Hikaru Shida. Like I don't. And maybe it's because she's Japanese, so we don't hear her on the mic very often. I don't know why we're putting the belt on Hikaru Shida. I don't know.
I think she's 3-time, first 3-time champion is what they said or something like. But who? So.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Like, there was no rivalry going on with the two of them right now. Put it on Tony Storm. They're rivals.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is like Saraya can't wrestle. Like, she can't wrestle regularly, so they had to take the belt off her. like this was sort of like
Yep.
what's it called? Like a lifetime achievement award for Soraya getting this title shot or getting this title run.
Totally.
Now they're
Totally.
taking it off of her. That's
Yep.
fine, but like, yeah, take it. I mean, she
Why
already
didn't
is
you put it
barely
on
on
Tony Storm
TV.
last month?
Put it on Tony
Mhm.
Storm this week instead of by the way, oh my, they ruined her silent movie stuff. They ruined it. Like she did the silent, she had 2 vignettes where she did the
Yeah,
silent
they
movie.
had it on during commercial, right?
They did it in picture, so you didn't get to hear like the old-timey music and stuff. It was
Yeah.
terrible. She's one of the best
How
things
does
in the
that
company, and
happen?
it was so bad. I guess they figured because it's a silent film, we can go to picture in picture, but it's like, no, you need the
Oh,
music. You
that's
need the 20s
stupid.
because it got reposted on social media, and with the music, it's hilarious. It's like an old like 20s,
Yeah.
like you know, that type of stuff.
That sucks because I didn't see it reposted. I just saw it in picture, so I wasn't even paying attention. I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
bad.
that's
It
too
was
bad.
really bad.
Let's do big dirt or not big dirt. Go ahead. What do we got this week?
All right. So one of the other things from the Tuesday Night Wars kind of was fell in between the cracks. But I texted you about it, I think, in the moment. Brian Pillman Jr. officially introduced now in AEW. Another great vignette. This time he finally talked. But instead of going the route of I'm gonna be Brian Pillman Jr. and I'm being my father's son, he went the route of I didn't know my dad. He died when I was very young. And I'm not Brian Pillman Jr. He's now Lexus King, which is like a mashup of 2 other family members' names.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's big dirt.
So
I like it.
yeah.
I think it's cool, and apparently he's already doing NXT house shows, so he's starting to get introduced in front of a live audience. I'm in on it. I'm excited to see where it goes. So I'll go big dirt.
All right. So last weekend we were wondering why did FTR drop the titles in a squash match? So reportedly, Cash is not as hurt as they said. He doesn't have like a
Going to
broken
prison.
rib, and that he could have actually wrestled in the match, and that they did a squash match like that to try to draw eyeballs to Collision that night because it was going head to head with. Wasn't it going head to head with Fastlane?
Two Saturdays ago. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
When they lost the titles,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So supposedly that's the reason that they did a squash match for them to lose the titles, not because he was hurt.
I don't think it took any eyeballs from Fastlane.
Okay. So not big
Not
dirt?
big dirt. Not big dirt.
Okay. All right. So Logan Paul, future WWE Hall of Famer, Logan Paul had his boxing match this past weekend with Dylan Dennis.
Yeah.
I did not watch it. I saw some highlights. It was as much of a disaster as everyone thought it was going to be. And after the match, after he wins, doesn't call out another boxer, says, I want Rey Mysterio Jr. and I want that title.
I love it. Big dirt. I love it. It was the only thing that drew my attention from that night.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's cool. I like it. And you know what?
And
he's going to win it. He's going to win it from him.
And additional dirt, not really dirt because it actually happened. Rey Mysterio was in studio today in New York on Ariel Helwani's show and said him and Logan Paul will be face-to-face on SmackDown this Friday.
Awesome. Yeah, Logan Paul's going to win the title from him.
I think
like
so
as
too.
Prestigious as the Intercontinental titles become because it's around Gunther's waist, Logan Paul's going to elevate that U.S. title.
Yep. All right. So Wardlow, we noticeably back seemingly as a heel, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed this. First of all, I have to pull up this quote. So I don't know if you noticed, but on his tape, it says MJF on his wrist tape. He has MJF written.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then he was interviewed by Sports Nightly, I guess, and they asked him about MJF, and he said, "I understand in the past 4 months he has somehow convinced everybody in the world to cheer for him and feel sad for him and sorry for him. It just amazes me how somebody can do horrible, evil things for years and then come out and say sorry and spew out fake tears. Now all of a sudden everyone forgets about all the bad they ever done and they want to embrace him. Well, I'm a little more intelligent. I see right through his BS. I'm not one of the people that sat at home cheering MJF for the past 4 months."
I'm going big dirt. I told you he has clearly come back as a heel. I think that's established now with those lines, and that is the exact same storyline going on right now with Drew McIntyre in WWE.
Yeah, but who is Drew specifically going after though?
Jay. Jay,
Oh.
he doesn't want to forgive Jay. He doesn't like.
Oh, right.
Same thing.
Got it. Right. Yeah, it's true.
It's the exact same story.
Listen, I've said for a long time, Tony Khan watches WWE. He watches WWE.
It's the exact same story. I like it, but it's the exact same story.
Yep. All right, last one. Sports Illustrated is reporting that apparently, we saw a few months ago, or like a month ago, The Rock went on McAfee and basically teased him and Roman at WrestleMania 40. Sports Illustrated is reporting that according to sources within the company, WrestleMania 40's main event is not The Rock's to make, despite his comments saying it was discussed. And as of now, there are no plans for this match to happen. And it reports that even if the match is offered, there's no certainty that he would accept because of his movie obligations.
I'm going not big dirt, because anything could change between now and the next 5+ months. And at the same time, Rock's not reliable because of his business schedule, because of his movie schedule. So I don't know that we're ever going to get it, but I'm going not big dirt because, and also they may want to throw you off their scent. Rock says that they want to make you think that it's not going to happen. Then it's a whole surprise when it does. So I don't know what to believe in that spot. So I'm going not big dirt.
Maybe we'll get what we thought we could get last year, which was a Roman main eventing both nights. Cody one night, Rock another night.
Maybe. Feel like I feel like we're headed toward the Usos headlining the one night and Roman headlining the next night. I don't know.
Yes, I agree. Unless The Rock shows up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Rock can tell them a month before that he's in, and then he's in. And then that's
right,
what they're doing.
Exactly. Right. 100%.
All right. Good job, man. Is that it?
That's all. That's it. That's all I got. That's big dirt.
Excellent work, man. Tonight's going to be a fun night, I think, of WWE Raw season premiere. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Today's show brought to us by Bet Online. Joey, tell all your fans you'll talk to them next week, and you'll miss them. Go ahead.
I'll miss you all, and we'll see you next weekend.
Thanks, guys. We love pro wrestling. Make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that fun stuff. Tell all your friends about the show, and we'll talk to you this coming weekend on the next edition of It's Still Real to Me. See ya.